All right, hello everybody, welcome to my channel. I hope you're doing well. I'm sending you so much love and good vibes. I hope that everything is good for you during this time. So for part 3 has been taking me a little bit of time because I did post a little bit about it on part 2, but part 3, because it's related to what happened last week and it happened all of a sudden, and so many things happened at the same time, that I didn't, talk about it as much as I wanted to. So here it is. There's going to be a couple videos in the description below. If you feel called to, go share it. Make sure you support the content creators, like their videos, follow them. Okay, we need to continue amplifying the voices of the Palestinians, the Congo, Sudan as well. Okay, we have to continue going. Okay. Another thing, I did add a new GoFundMe in the description below, but also you can check out, I think it's Operation Olive Tree or something like that. There's also a Google Drive where you can also seek out any of the people that all their GoFundMe is there in this drive as well, that you feel that you can really help out people. Continue the boycotting, continue sharing, continue sending to the ICJ things that you see that we're not able to see. Those of you who have access to news outlets and you're able to repost on your page, it does help us. For those who have those kind of news being blocked to us in our country, that you share it and then we're able to share it through you. Okay. It does help. All right. And this is why a lot of people, they email me, come back to me, say, oh, I didn't know about this. And I'm like, okay, now you know. And yes, this is why or this type of content is heavily censored and suppressed to the point. But then again, they're not bigger than God. God will show it to the right people and it will be shared and liked. Thank you so much, guys. Just make sure that you like the video so that the algorithm favors the video so that other people can see it too, and also this can remain accurate and considerate in the algorithm for others as well, just as you find this. Okay, and those who've been here before, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And those who are new here, welcome. We're not just do tarot reading and oracle reading and psychic reading, clairvoyant readings of all the gifts that I share with everybody. I'm still, it's like an onion, I'm still also discovering myself, but also we do decolonization work here and shadow work and inner work by also amplifying the voices of the Palestinian, the Congo, and Free Sudan. Also, I want to thank all of y'all who, your super thanks, your donations, those who buy on merchandise on 3𝓁�𝆃THE. Appreciate it. Those who purchase here on the YouTube channel as well. There's some merchandise here. Mostly all the profits is going to go to the Palestinian humanitarian aid and also the Congo, the Sudan, especially now. UNRWA has been opened in Canada, but I mean it's open now. It's back to funding. Canada is funding it again. By the month of April, they should be they're going back into helping humanitarian aid, and one of the first one that was helping Palestinians that it was cut off by something obviously a lie, and now is being rectified that was obviously Israel lie as usual, because that's all they do. And I still can't believe those people still believe any other they have to say. But anyways, we're back and we're definitely gonna be donating any of the any profits that come from this channel, the Instagram, TikTok, or any donation, guys, anything is gonna go to there. Okay. I knew for those who purchase on 3𝓁�𝆃THE.com, I am looking into, there's something going on with the website that provides the shirts. So I'm looking into it. So if I'm a little delay with your shipment, bear with me. You're literally my first customers in a while. But also I'm trying to figure it out. How can I take out the proceeds and donate it to organizations? Okay, so you'll get your items, okay? And I know we were purchasing it for before the Earth Day, right? It was in April. So that's really cool that you're purchasing it now. Thank you so much for trusting me and my designs. Thank you for supporting me as a content creator and as an artist. So thank you so much. Most of the proceeds I will show you guys also is going to humanitarian aid. So I'm just happy that my creations are going to be out there and it's going to be contributing for something good. So I'm really happy about that. Anyways, today we're talking about, there's a little bit of Aaron Bushnell that I want to talk about. As someone who has gone through suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, went through that period, and seek help, seek therapy, okay? And it's very good to seek help, therapy when you're going through this. But I want to make it clear because this needs to be clear, okay? What Aaron Bushnell has nothing to do with mental illness. And let me explain, okay? Because the form of protest that he did, it's something very sacred. It's something that is, I call it the fire, embracing our soul to the purest compassion and kindness that it can ever be. So his act of what he did is one of the highest forms of empathy and compassion, and having so much love, so much care, literally sacrificing his own self for another person, for another community, other human beings. And as you hear him, there is a video and everything where he actually exposes himself, saying very clearly why he did it. He literally says it. I'm doing this the highest protest. It's very extreme, but it's not as extreme as what our governments and people are doing to the Palestinians. And he is right. And we are going to continue honoring his legacy that he left, just like the Yemen are encouraging and honoring as well. He said it. I will no longer be complicit of genocide. And I think a lot of us, we don't need to burn ourselves alive to say this. We can say it, but the thing is, he said it in a form of protest to wake us up. I mean, he's no different. I mean, he's not the Son of God, but that's what being Christ-like, that's what Christ did for us, for love. He did it for the entire humanity. Aaron Bushnell did it for Palestinian, and he says it, free Palestine. And he was saying until he burned himself like he couldn't speak anymore. Burn himself. It was live. He put it live for everyone to see. In the embassy of Israel in Washington, D.C. And we still think that these people are, why would anybody do that? Has anybody burned themselves alive for Israel? I don't think so. I don't think so. Come on, get it together, okay? This is for all of y'all.
If Aaron Bushnell lit himself on fire and said, "Free the hostages! Free the hostages! Free the hostages!" they would build a shrine to him in the middle of Tel Aviv. Hollywood already would be working on a script for a new movie to honor him. But because he died for the people of Gaza, they hate him for it. Because we Americans, we're supposed to die for Israel, no other country. So they have to mock him, just like they mock dead children. There's a Telegram channel with over 126,000 Israelis and Jewish supremacists that mock dead people all day. Babies even. I saw one that said when a little girl was dead, one less settler, one less terrorist. And that's what they're doing with him. Why is our greatest ally mocking this person, right? Our greatest ally, Israel. What do we even get supporting Israel? Can you name one thing that we as Americans get for supporting Israel? Nothing. Just empty platitudes. He died to send a message to the world that what's happening in Gaza is unacceptable. It is a genocide. And all these American Jewish Zionists and Zionists around the world are mad for taking his life for those people. That's why they're mad. And they mock him like every other victim that the Israelis have murdered.
They already are lying about it, not just in print media. This is what I just saw from MSNBC.
We have an update now on a truly tragic incident in Washington, D.C. Yesterday, 25-year-old Aaron Bushnell of San Antonio, Texas, the active duty airman in the U.S. Air Force who set himself on fire outside the Israeli embassy in an apparent protest against the Israel-Hamas war, has died.
You got that? She said he died in an apparent protest of the Israeli-Hamas war. Oh, okay, so here's a video of him, which he details himself, saying exactly why he was doing it. Saying it was because he couldn't be complicit in the genocide. Once he actually took the action, he screams multiple times, "Free Palestine." He made it extremely clear why he was doing it. But to our bullshit press that does nothing but lie on behalf of power, she waters it down to say Israel-Hamas war. See how they play word games like that? They try to water down and whitewash what his actual intent was by just saying Israel-Hamas war. Who can say? Both sides. He's just upset about the war. You see, this is a war of two sides. Their dishonesty is grotesque. This isn't a fucking war, and he never said war. This is a genocide on the Palestinian people, which he made very clear. And this is the reason why no one trusts the media, as they fucking shouldn't. Free Palestine. And may Aaron Bushnell rest.
So yeah. Has nothing to do with mental illness. People nowadays suicide for depression, anxiety. They can deal with stuff. They can deal with capitalism. Most of suicide is not being able to afford housing or paying your bills or not able to have food or dealing with toxic relationship, family and stuff like that. Most of the stuff is things that we take for granted, really. Not sleeping well, constantly, being bullied and stuff like that and keeping it to yourself. Being suppressed in silence, right? Because most of depression is that. Someone said that. I don't know which video. I've seen so many things, but there was someone who says that, like, not being able to, depression it's this lack of expression, not being able to express yourself. I think that was Yahweh, he said that. I think this was the video. Let me see.
Let's take a little walk together and talk about how to not get exhausted and depleted in your anti-oppression and social justice activism. I think something that has been missing from a lot of social justice movements is being grounded and anchored in some form of spiritual, contemplative practice. And I've seen either spiritual practitioners, spiritual movements, or communities that are completely devoid of any form of political activism. And to me, that just is completely meaningless, because if it's not anchored in this world, in this realm, in the alleviation of human suffering as much as possible, then what's the point? It's all about just getting high and ascending to some fifth dimension. On the other hand, being in anti-oppression activism, struggling for collective liberation, without being anchored in some kind of practice, is inevitably gonna get one exhausted and depleted. So it's crucially important to connect these two. And there are a few powerful benefits or side effects for that. For once, it helps you move forward with the intention to liberate and alleviate human suffering without buying into the illusion that you are a savior, that it's your sole job to fix the world or change the world because you see the perfection in the world. You're able to see the devastating beauty in the world. Another thing is, in order to stay in the struggle for liberation, we need energy. In other words, the power to do work. Where does that power come from? This power is sourced from our emotional experiences. And in order to source that energy from our emotional experiences, you need to know how to do some level of emotional alchemy, meaning how to transmute and channel the rage, the anger, the grief, the pain that you are feeling into inspired action for liberation. Because otherwise, maybe you can do that to some degree, but eventually over time, You're either getting numb from all the pain that you're witnessing and you just can't feel any longer, or you start suppressing and minimizing and rejecting a lot of your emotional experiences in ways that are unbeneficial to you, in ways that makes you depressed and depleted. Because what depression is the opposite of expression. And so being rooted and anchored in a contemplative, mystical or spiritual practice helps you move through and channel and transmute and turn and metabolize and digest your emotional experiences into action for liberation, into aliveness. Helps you connect the dots between feeling joy as a revolutionary action, being connected to your eros, to your pleasure, connected to land, to earth, to food, to joy, to aliveness, and at the same time doing the work. I'm not a veteran of political activism. My perspectives come from over a decade-long mystical exploration, spiritual practices, comparative religion studies, exploration of wisdom traditions. And what I saw from some of my role models that sit very well in this paradox of moving towards alleviating suffering out of the raw, authentic expression of your heart breaking, witnessing that pain, without buying into the illusion that there is separation, that pain and that atrocities are not happening inside of you, that are not part of you and who you are as a human being, as an expression of aliveness, without buying into the illusion that it's your sole job to fix the world and change the world and save the world. Those role models who I've seen give great examples of how to do great activism, how to do great revolutionary work while being anchored in their aliveness and tirelessly working towards struggle for liberation their entire life, are people who do these two things very well together. Just something to think about from this morning's walk. As always, much love and free Palestine.
Have been prayed for by our ancestral mothers. Our soul was incarnated for this specific work. It is no coincidence that we are here at such a prophetic time for humanity. Your soul chose that, and your ancestors prayed specifically for you. And so really honoring those prayers, really feeling worthy of those prayers and that calling that you feel.
All right, another thing, if you have any, if you reach me, you see me on social media or TikTok, or you want to send me an email, all my information in the description below. If you're a family in Gaza or in Rafah or in the West Bank, in the North, and you would like me to share your GoFundMe, always reach me, okay? I will share it, all right? I will share it on my stories. I will share it, all right? Don't be afraid that if you feel that, oh, I shouldn't be asking for help and blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. I do have a lot of people who watch me, who follow me, who still pretend to be silent, but I know they have a heart and they have money. And if they feel some type of way, they will be that angel investors in behind the scenes, okay? Please, let us help you, okay? If we're able to help you, I've had a couple families already that have reached out to me, and we're trying to boost their GoFundMe right now, okay? So send me your link, GoFundMe, just send me the link, okay? And I will look at your GoFundMe, I will take a screenshot, and I will do the rest, okay? Don't be afraid of that. If you want to send me an email, if you want your story to be also, don't be afraid. We want to help, okay? Any possible way that we can. And as soon as I'm able to, when I have a little bit, I will always be sending GoFundMe money as well, okay? So don't be afraid of asking for help. Now, the same thing with people who are being bullied, and because there's a lot of bullying, online bullying right now, especially with the Zionists. They're going a little psycho cuckoo puff, right? Because their narrative, their thing is not helping. It's not working, okay? So, and this is why.
Over these past 5 months, I've seen some of the worst images I've ever seen in my life. I've seen parents holding bags filled with the limbs of their children. I've seen men, women, children, and even infants buried under rubble after US and Israeli airstrikes destroyed their homes. I've seen video of a woman who was shot and killed by an Israeli sniper as she was holding the hand of a small child. I've seen countless videos of children in hospitals, injured, missing limbs, screaming out for their moms and dads who will never come because they were one of the 30,000 innocent civilians killed by Israel. They've bombed refugee camps. They've targeted civilian convoys where people were looking to flee the bombing. They've targeted civilian infrastructure that they label power targets, places like schools, hospitals, universities, residential buildings, in order to try to break the will of the Palestinian people. And I can go on and on and on, listing off more and more atrocities that I've seen. But today was probably one of the worst war crimes that I've seen in these entire 5 months. This morning in Gaza City, as trucks arrived bringing food and much-needed humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, Israeli soldiers opened fire on the crowd of refugees, families who have been forced from their homes as part of this genocidal bombing campaign. Israeli soldiers opened fire on the crowd from tanks and drones, killing over 100 and wounding over 700. Understand that for the people of Gaza, the threat of dying from famine, from starving to death, is a very real threat that has already killed too many. And the long-term impacts of this are incalculable. I want you to imagine what it would be like if everybody in your city suddenly tomorrow didn't have enough food to feed their children. And that lasted for 5 months. What kind of impacts would that have? Now on top of that, add the threat of a bomb being dropped on you and your family any given day. And under those circumstances, Israel is opening fire on refugees who are coming to a food truck, desperate for food to feed their families. We need you to understand that these are not just headlines. These are not just news reports. This is not a fucking documentary we're watching. These are human beings. These are mothers, fathers, sons, daughters that are being killed every day, starved every day, traumatized every day. And there are way too many people in power, here in the United States especially, who are just comfortable watching it happen. This week we all saw the video of Aaron Bushnell, who lit himself on fire just to bring attention to the genocide that our government is complicit in, that we are funding, arming, and enabling. And for a lot of people online, they ask, what would drive someone to do something like that? How could you do something like that? What a waste to do something like that. For me as a father, I could personally never do that kind of action. And I don't encourage others to take that kind of action either. I don't want to see us lose anybody. But do I understand why, after 5 months of seeing what we've seen, knowing that our leaders here in the United States, from Genocide Joe all the way down, seem to not give a shit about the lives that are being lost every day? Can I understand why Aaron did what he did? Absolutely. This is not normal what we're watching. And what I want the people in power to understand is that history is our greatest teacher. And what history teaches us is that genocidal governments like Israel cannot last forever. Eventually, the bombs will stop dropping in Gaza, and Israel will be held accountable for the crimes that they have committed. And the history books will show where we stood when Israel did what they did. History is being written every single day, and we will remember where you stood.
I'm going to make a video today because I just got a chemical peel and I look absolutely feral. It feels like somebody put packing tape all over my face. But you know what's crazier than how I look right now? 104 people were shot to death trying to get humanitarian aid in Gaza City, and over 700 are injured. And these Israeli news outlets are saying that most of these deaths were caused by a stampede. And first of all, how would they even know how these people passed away? I mean, do they even monitor any of the hospitals and say, okay, this was the number of bullet wounds, this is the number of people who bled to death, this is from crushing injuries? They haven't even sorted through all of these people yet. They're saying that the Israeli army, these bunch of kids were armed with automatic weapons, just fired into the crowd because they are afraid. If you're that scared, go home. You are not cut out for war. CNN did a piece on comparing what the Israeli spokespeople said versus eyewitnesses. So this was from the spokesperson saying that the soldiers fired warning shots into the air and then fired those who posed a threat and did not move away. The trucks then went north. There was a stampede. Well, people are obviously running to these trucks because there is mass starvation happening, because their children are hungry, because their wives, brothers, and sisters and neighbors are starving to death. These people have to fight like a dog for the minimal amount of humanitarian aid that's coming in. It's funny how they can break up a crowd that's in Gaza trying to get humanitarian aid from these trucks, but they can't break up those crowds of people who are blocking aid from coming into Gaza Strip. They can't stop that Order 9 movement. When asked how many civilians were killed when approached, he said he did not have any figure. And per eyewitness statements, it said that Israeli military opened fire on people near the trucks, causing the drivers to panic and drive away. Over 760 are injured. And then this is another thing that pisses me off, is that they put these people in a situation where they are absolutely desperate. And then they tell the public that they are looting these trucks. If my son told me over and over, Mommy, I'm hungry, Mommy, I'm hungry, I would go to the ends of the earth to feed my son. I'm shaking. I'm so angry right now. As hunger spreads in Gaza, gangs looting aid become increasingly brazen. But on the bright side, Biden acknowledged it. But he said that there's competing versions of what happened. He doesn't have an answer for what happened yet. That sounds a whole lot like our public relations people haven't come up with a good excuse yet. President Gustavo Petro from Colombia just said that Netanyahu killing more than 100 Palestinians while asking for food is called genocide and reminds us of the Holocaust. The world must stop Bibi and acknowledge the ongoing genocide in Gaza. It was also announced today that Colombia suspended all arms purchases from Israel. Isn't Israel buying their weapons from us? Like, are they like the middleman in this? Ending these arms sales to and from Israel is going to be the only effective way to stop this. Even Josh Paul resigned from the State Department back in October over our arms sales to the blue and white state. The other thing that you have to remember is that when there's this many adults who are unalived, they have children at home who are now completely abandoned on their own. There is no foster care system in Gaza at the moment. How many more children have to be orphaned?
الناس اللي ما بتعرف، احنا بشمال غزة إلنا 5 شهور بدون رز، بدون طحين، بدون خضار، بدون أي مواد غذائية. ما في أي مساعدات بتدخل لنا، حتى السوق ما في ولا أي حاجة. لجأنا طبعا إلى إنه احنا نطحن الأعلاف الحيوانات وبذور الطيور وأكل البسس. رغم كل هذا حكينا معلش إنه في حاجة ممكن احنا نسد جوعنا فيها، رغم إنه طعمها سيء وبتعمل وجع بالمعدة، بس كان في بديل. حتى لو كان إنه أكل الحيوانات. أتذكر أهلنا شو كانوا دايما يحكوا لنا، إنه ما في حد بينام جوعان، وما في حد بيموت من الجوع في بلده، بس إحنا كل يوم بننام جوعانين. أنا ما عمري تخيلت إنه إحنا ممكن يجي علينا يوم ناكل أكل حيوانات أو إحنا حتى ننام جوعانين. إحنا شو ذنبنا؟ شو ذنب الأطفال؟ يعني إذا إحنا ما متنا من القصف رح نموت من الجوع حرفيا. هذا الوضع هذا عندنا بشمال غزة. يعني بدنا حدا.
So, the governments of the United States and Israel still claim that everything we are seeing in Gaza is just self-defense. Self-defense in a series of unfortunate accidents. 4 months on, over 30,000 dead, and that's still what they're going with. They expect us to believe that one of the most advanced modern militaries on the planet Earth kills 13,000 children by accident. Whoops. They expect us to believe that it is self-defense to leave 2 million people homeless, then strategically starve those people, then massacre those people when they desperately attempt to get the food that they need to stay alive. More self-defense, war crimes, collective punishment, the targeting of civilians, the use of white phosphorus in densely populated areas, the use of starvation as a weapon, record numbers of aid workers, journalists, and healthcare workers killed. What is that? Is that more defense, or is that just, I don't know, a never-ending cascade of whoops-a-daisies? What about the thousands upon thousands of 2,000-pound bombs being dropped on hospitals, schools, ambulances, and refugee camps? Nobody is buying this. Nobody. Outside of a select few who will follow the Israeli government to the ends of the earth, nobody is buying this. Get a new narrative.
الخبز دلنا هذا الخبز دلنا هذا الخبز دلنا والله خافت الصاص ما خفنا منه الطخ ما خفنا. ليش بتعيط؟ نلاقي مستشفى ثلاثة. عين الله عم دقيقة. دموعها غالية والله. خلتنا بتبكي عشان خبز يا جماعة. خبز إلها أكثر من شهرين ما أكلتش خبز. متخيلين لو أنا كنا كل العالم اللي قاعد بيتفرج خبز مش قاعدين نودي لك شمال الخبز والله حرام. خذي لا ما تغنص يا خذي. مش عارف والله لسه.
تعبنا يا ناس ارحمونا.
بارك الله فيك.
تعبنا وتبهدلنا ارحمونا.
بعين الله. يعني انت بتعيط عشانك شفت الخبز؟ والله.
والله اشتقت ليه
كفار عسى الله
قاعدين.
الله يفرجها.
مبهدلين.
سن. شكرا يا عم شكرا. يا الله هذه السيدة بتبكي عشان شافت خبز لأول مرة من أربع شهور. يعني هذا هو الواقع في شمال غزة.
I need you guys to stop glorifying the country Jordan for airdropping food in Gaza. I hope you know that Jordan is complicit in the genocide of the Palestinians. Jordan literally allowed the US of fucking A to transport artillery to Israel. The government of Jordan is the 4th largest recipient of the USA in foreign assistance. And Jordan exports goods to Israel over $100 million. And Jordan increased imports from Israel by 13%, all during this genocide. And for the longest time, the royal family has been normalizing their relationships with is not real. So I need y'all to stop praising theatrics and to look through the performative acts that Jordan is doing right now, which is airdropping food and that's the bare minimum. Please be wary of who you are praising and who you are giving good faith credit to when it is bad faith actors and countries that are very much complicit in this genocide. And just because they're from the Swana region or they're quote unquote Arab countries does not mean that they're doing this in good faith. Don't give too much credit where it shouldn't be due. And in the words of George Habash, shame on my hands if I shake the hands of those that swept the necks of my people.
Palestinian children in Gaza are dying because of a man-made famine caused by America and Israel. These are photos of Palestinian children who are nothing but skin and bones because of this man-made famine caused by America and Israel and all of these other European nations that have decided to stop funding the UNRWA. I have no words. Like, these photos look like photos from our history books when we were studying the Holocaust. Last night, my nephew was jumping on the bed and he fell. The way he fell, he hit his head on the floor, and my sister had to rush him to the hospital with her husband because he started throwing up. He was walking a little funny, and thankfully he's fine, but he had a minor concussion. And the whole night, I kept thinking about the children in Palestine and how much more pain they are in, how much pain they have to endure. My nephew's only 2 years old, and I thought about how him falling off the bed caused him so much pain. But these kids are living in buildings that are being bombed. They are running from bombs, running from bullets. They are being starved to death. They are being stripped naked in the cold. These are babies. They're kids younger than 2 that are enduring so much pain. Babies who are coming into this world and they cannot even feed off their mother's breast because the mother is hungry. A baby died because they fed him animal feed because there was nothing else to feed babies. And then I see videos of people like Whoopi Goldberg on The View talking about the uncommitted voters at the Michigan primary and calling those voters one-issue voters. Yes, who cares? This is the most important issue right now. They are using our American taxpayer dollars and they're committing a genocide and they're forcing us to watch the genocide. You know what I mean? They are literally, the genocide is live stream and they're showing us, look what we can do to you. Look what we can do to you and get away with it. I feel like I'm in a nightmare
And I just constantly think about the children, like these kids who are enduring so much physical and psychological pain. Like, this is not even an adult human being could endure this pain. But you have kids having to endure all of this, and the amount of kids who are wandering around without a parent. This is evil. This is cruel.
So, like, I thought I'd seen some pretty messed up stuff when I was examining early Islamic State cyber traffic in a military intelligence capacity. And back in the early 2010s, that stuff was wild. But these Zionist Telegram channels are a whole nother ballgame. If you're eating, I'd stop. 1, because they're absolutely vile. 2, out of respect, because they are celebrating actively child famine in Gaza. And I mean, this exact imagery looks familiar from somewhere, but you know, never again, right? So one of my least favorites is the channel Dead Terrorists. It's got like 127,000 subscribers. And this is from yesterday. Tadam, I don't think even Rand Tizzy's beard could clean this shit up. Thanks to Kobe the Champion for the great photos that made my Friday night. All right, and then here we go. Listen, pay attention to what you are bringing up here. All the pro-Palestinian terrorists also use this to defame Israel and to the world. It's also not certain the tank did this thing. Even if he was handcuffed, it does not mean he was necessarily killed by the IDF. The handcuffs amuse me. Dude, even you guys know they did this for sport. You think like the IDF thinks, and there's only one guy in the whole group trying to play for cover. Only one dude in the comment section is kind of like, okay, I know what we did might not be right. And like, this is y'all's response to the Flower Massacre, a new attraction in the Sharamite Strip, a mobile goat figo line on wheels that contains 90% fat and has 20 donkey strength. This isn't even clever, dehumanizing language. You guys are just fucking idiots. I mean, not to mention that NPR, National Public Radio, a bought and paid for non-profit radio station, just reported that 80% of the casualties in the Flower Massacre had gunshot wounds. So the use of the term stampede, also a dehumanizing word because cattle, bison stampede. But yeah, the use of the word stampede and that whole narrative ain't gonna fly. So personally, I thought the Islamic State, Wahhabi, unhinged stuff would be the craziest ideology that I would experience in my life. But y'all are like the Michael Jordan of this shit. It's like every time you set a record, you break it the next week. The International Court of Justice is like, hey, IDF, stop committing war crimes. And the IDF's just like, hold my diaper. Also, you murder American citizens. Like, what are you going to do? You can't really call me a anti-American terrorist without looking like an idiot. So I guess you should just go ahead, get it over with, and play the mental health card. Because all you guys back in America are like pro-veteran and pro-military until those veterans and military personnel become anti-fascists. And then we're just crazy, right? But then again, we're not the ones making these Telegram channels.
Oh, and it gets worse. Like, deeper, way worse. That they don't want people to know their dirty little secrets, and these people are sick.
The other news of the night on a rabbi in New Jersey is one of 3 people tonight charged in a human trafficking and prostitution ring. Prosecutors say he was one of 30 men to have sex with a teenage girl. Here's Omni's News reporter NJ Burkett.
You say he's a good man?
Yes. That's what I think.
The family's babysitter said the allegations came as a shock. Aria Goodman, identified by police as a rabbi in East Brunswick, New Jersey, arrested for having sex with a teenaged girl. He is just one of dozens of men who are believed to have had sexual encounters in a local hotel with a 17-year-old prostitute. Prosecutors have also charged 18-year-old Gabriella Colon and 23-year-old Richard Ortiz of the Bronx with 11 criminal counts, including human trafficking. The investigation determines that a spokeswoman that Colon and Ortiz sold the sexual services of a 17-year-old female to approximately 30 men from January 1st, 2018 to February 2nd at a hotel in East Brunswick. Authorities say Goodman operates a religious learning center out of his home, and parents say his wife runs an ultra-Orthodox preschool in East Brunswick. Rachel Green said the rabbi was never seen there and praised Goodman's wife.
Mrs. Goodman is a wonderful principal and friend and wonderful with the children.
Neighbors say they rarely saw Goodman. Given the allegations against him, his first encounter with Stan Runyon and his wife now seems somewhat ironic.
He came over, I was at the mailbox, shook my hand, wouldn't shake my wife's hand because he's like Orthodox. He wouldn't touch a woman, if you know anything about Orthodox Jews. And he introduced himself, and that's it. I never saw him again after that.
The child prostitute is from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So far, the rabbi is the only alleged client charged in this case, but this investigation is not over tonight.
All right. There are some reminders that I let you guys know in part 2. I will try to figure out how to glitch videos into this video. I still haven't figured out that. If not, it will be in the description below. Okay, part 2. This is a lot of reminder, y'all, that it has to be permanently ceasefire, free Palestine, free Congo, free Sudan. Okay, it has to be permanent. It has to be like seriously. And this is why, because a lot of y'all, you think, oh, it's not affecting me, oh, blah blah blah. Okay, let me remind you again why whatever is happening in Palestine could happen anywhere, anytime.
So this has been circulating for a few days now. This caption is about how the Israeli military has procured robotic machine gun dogs from a US company called Ghost Robotics to assist in their genocidal campaign against Gaza. And if you'll let me, I would just like to mentally hold your hand and bring you through some thoughts. Thought 1 is the acknowledgement that there is more and more proof piling up that Gaza is a testing ground for the weapons manufacturers around the world. Thought 2 is the acknowledgement that these robotic dogs that shoot people have already been in use at the US-Mexico border on brown children and their families for at least the last 2 years. And thought 3 is recognizing this timeline. Remember this? Remember this poem? They pump you full of horror movies, make you obsessed with murderers, and fawn over serial killers, so that when our world is imitating their art, you're already desensitized to it. You cannot register that what you are seeing in Gaza, in Palestine, is real. Neighborhoods exploding, seen it. Children's body parts flying, seen it. A boy with no legs, no arms, somehow still screaming with no face, seen it. They have been grooming you. You cannot process it. Have you ever wondered why it's white men who dominate the horror genre in film? Top of the food chain has no predators. No one and nothing to fear. So they create a fearful world for enjoyment. We make motivational, gut-wrenching films. We make films of our dreams of freedom or of our tales of triumph over colonizers. We tell stories of our past to teach others about how tightly interwoven it is with our now and how desperately we need them to move so that this world can release its chokehold on our future. Our art is revolutionary. Their art is made of all the things they wish they could do to us, to all of us. Their art is what they do to us. This horror genre that they've created and convinced you is just pretend, is a glimpse into a world that is real for us. We don't just pull our content from out of nowhere. Palestine is everyone's fight.
Alright y'all, look at this wild video.
I just want to know why you're here. I'll let him handle it.
I want to buy property.
Oh, you do?
That's why I'm here. Register. I want to buy property.
So why are you wearing that hat?
I'm confused. To buy property in West Bank, you can't wear a hat.
You can wear a hat, but obviously you know the context and the climate of what's
So
going
Keller
on.
Williams sells land in Morgan Elliott, which they say is Israel. Google says it's in the West Bank. Palestine is West Bank, so I want to buy property.
No, that's not right. You understand?
Palestine is
Let
not
me
in
ask
West
you a
Bank.
question. Do you?
So what y'all just saw was a video of a pro-Palestine man trying to enter an event where Israelis are selling land in the West Bank. Besides the fact that it's quite literally an illegal settlement, they wouldn't even let him into the event because he had a Palestine hat on. The guy that was trying to refuse him entry also had the audacity to say that the West Bank isn't in Palestine. It's absolutely ridiculous what these real estate companies can get away with. Just so you know, this one was from Keller Williams. So if you see Keller Williams or you're planning on working with them in some way or shape or form, boycott them and hold them accountable for selling illegal settlement-taken land.
I mean, the basic argument for supporting Israel has been, first, we share values. Well, Israel is demonstrating the values of the Ku Klux Klan, and I don't share those values. I mean, basically what's going on in Gaza is a mass lynching. And the second reason is supposedly that Israel is a strategic asset. But I have never heard anyone describe what it does for us other than get us in trouble. You know, the question they used to pose was, does Israel have a right to exist? Which is a rather strange question because it does exist. But I think that question is being replaced now in much of the world by, does Israel deserve to exist? Can the world really maintain normal relations with a country that behaves in utter disregard of international law and in a completely inhumane fashion?
about a lucky man who made the grade. And though the news was rather sad, well, I just had to laugh. I saw the photograph.
Okay, yes. We need to make that very clear, okay? So anybody telling you, oh, you're anti-Semitic, oh, Hamas, and all, that's just gaslighting. That's just verbatim. That's just them using the same propaganda, that their narrative, that it's not working anymore. There's a lot of people, there's like millions of people. We cannot avoid it anymore. No matter how much they're trying, like, it's just never gonna. I love that Soul Factory, one of the beautiful communities. If you check on writersep.com, they're one of the communities that we support on a monthly basis. I love their education. Go check them out. Go support them. Go follow them. They are the true education for liberation, and this is something that I love to aspire to, that writersep.com is in alignment. Also, very, very, I love their energy. They're always, advocating for, a sustainable future. Also, they focus on environment, which is something that I want to get back in here. There's something that someone reminded me recently, one of the advocates for Palestine as well, who I think they live in, I hope I'm saying this right. I've posted their content here before. I think that's Norway. I think it's Norway. So yes, we are going to, he referred to this, he was saying one of the stories that he was letting me know that he was considered also a terrorist, when when you're a climate activist, when you talk about climate change and stop fossil fuels and stop funding pipelines and stuff like that. And if you hear from old G from Angie Blog, you know that was part of my content that I will create here on the YouTube channel, aside from also tower reading, and how much that also was suppressed and heavily censored and heavily tagged, and it was intense. So that's something that we could relate to a lot of us who are who stand up for Palestine, Sudan, and Congo, and are dealing with the heavy stuff in the background. They're constantly calling you, but it's like, so we're the terrorists, that we care about humanity, that we care that you drink actually clean water, that you have clean air, that our oceans are not overly heated, okay, which they are intensely this year. I've never seen the spike so high in my, go check out Earthly Education, Early Action, or Early Education, or go follow them. He's constantly talking about climate change news, that we all it needs to be in the news as well, just like any other situation that's happening in the world, which is actually all connected. Climate justice is also social justice, that we always been saying that. I wrote it in blogs as well. If you look at writersyep.com, you look at Medium, I wrote blogs about this as well, how capitalism is just not okay. But this video can actually, two of them can actually help you understand a little bit better, okay?
If you are indifferent about the genocide against the Palestinians, think again, because the environmental repercussions of Israel's decades-long apartheid policies do not know borders. Today, I will shed light on the intersection of climate justice and human rights. Israel's green technology initiatives, praised as environmentally friendly, intersect with settler colonialism and further eradicates Palestinian land. Despite presenting themselves as eco-friendly solutions, green technologies such as solar energy and drip irrigation lead directly to the dispossession and displacement of Palestinian communities. Just during the first 60 days of the genocide, Israeli military activities emitted an estimated 147 metric tons of CO2, which is equivalent to running 75 coal power plants for an entire year. Additionally, US weapons supply flights to Israel added another 134,000 metric tons of CO2 to the atmosphere. Several recent studies reveal a disturbing truth. Israel's military actions in Gaza not only result in the loss of lives, but also contribute significantly to carbon emissions and environmental degradation. These emissions surpass the annual emissions of many countries and aggravate the environmental impact of the war on Gaza. But it's not just about emissions. Israel's attacks have rendered large parts of Gaza uninhabitable, with nearly 100,000 buildings destroyed, contributing to further environmental damage. Researchers project that reconstruction efforts could emit around 30 million metric tons of CO2, which is equivalent to New Zealand's annual greenhouse gas emissions. For decades, Israel's policies of land appropriation in the West Bank and natural resource exploitation directly affect Palestinians, as evidenced by the construction of Israeli settlements and the Israeli apartheid wall, which confiscates Palestinian land, reduces available land for farming and agriculture, and worsens food insecurity. By 1983, expropriation had reached 52% of territory, including prime agricultural land. By the time of the 1993 Oslo Accords, it has extended to over 3/4 of the West Bank. According to the NRC, more than 130,000 cubic meters of untreated sewage a day were released into the Mediterranean Sea from Gaza in October. That's equivalent of about 52 Olympic-sized swimming pools every day with untreated sewage. Since decades, the overexploitation of water sources by Israel in occupied Palestine has led to water scarcity and pollution. 97% of Gaza's water is unsuitable for human consumption. Polluted water was the source of 26% of illnesses and the leading cause of child death. Now the water pollution is the main reason for the outbreak of illnesses, including cholera and typhoid, which could spread even outside of Gaza. Israeli waste processing facilities in the West Bank harm Palestinian communities by polluting the environment and violating international law. Israeli authorities motivate corporations to operate waste plants in the West Bank through financial incentives, including government subsidies and tax breaks. The Palestinians living in the West Bank have no influence on Israel's decision to operate waste treatment facilities on their land, unlike the settlers living in their neighborhoods. People who claim to be climate activists must recognize the urgent need to address the root causes of environmental injustice and stand in solidarity with Palestine by taking concrete actions.
Your man sold our futures and you got rich doing it. You sick fuck. How dare you? You sold our futures. I'm not going to sit down. You've received more funding than any other senator.
We've made millions out of your position. You are driving miles around.
Valley Pipeline goes right through West Virginia.
These people came to support this pipeline. The pipeline they should support because it has energy going to
Not your futures, not your profits.
We'll get back on track here, guys.
Protect our futures, not your profits. Protect our futures, not your profits. Protect our futures, not your profits.
Are you guys aware that the only reason we found out and saw live footage of the flower massacre back in February 29th is because one journalist received an eSIM just few hours before the incident, and he used that eSIM in order to convey what's going on the ground. And 3𝓁𝓃THE, the one who is conducting the eSIM project, is saying that they are getting short on eSIMs. And that's why I'm making this video, because I'm gonna take you step by step how to send an eSIM to Gaza. And here's an incentive. There is a discount coupon for many of these eSIM companies. So here how you do it. So eSIM is an electronic SIM. You basically use it to latch on the surrounding network. And here's how to use the Nomad app in order to donate your eSIM. If the Nomad app is not working for you, you can go to the browser and use their website. So here's for the app. You download the app, tap on regional plan. You scroll down until you find Middle East, right here, click on it. And then you choose the plan, and here I encourage people to send the highest one, the 10 gigabytes. But even if you want to be safe and wait until your eSIM gets activated, you can send the lower one, and once it's activated, you can refill it with more data. Click on I understand, and then you choose your payment method, and then you will receive an email with the QR code. And here's an important step. You're not going to send a link, you're going to send the QR code. And in order for the QR code to be clear, keep pressing the screen until you download it, and never activate the QR code. Never activate your eSIM, because once you activate it, it's null. Like they're not going to be able to use it. And then you will start a new email and send the QR code that you saved in your camera roll to the gazaesims@gmail.com. Make sure to send it to the right email address, gazaesims@gmail.com. And again, you're not supposed to activate the eSIM, because once you activate it, it's nullified. So I made this video before, a similar video before, and some people had some questions. One question is why my eSIM hasn't been activated yet. Based on 3𝓁𝓃THE, she said that because of poor internet connectivity in the strip, sometimes small mistakes happen, like unintentionally, and the eSIMs ended up not being able to be used. That used to happen in the beginning, but now they learned how to overcome these mistakes and they got good at it. So now it's very rare to happen. Second reason why your eSIM might not have been activated, because sometimes they send more than one eSIM to one person if they have an important role, like for journalists, paramedics, and doctors. In case their eSIM stopped working, they can use a new eSIM. Third reason that they have to match the location and the better functioning eSIM to that location, because eSIM companies do not work similarly across the strip. Now an important note, do not send multiple emails with the same QR code of the same eSIM. If you want to remind people and it has been some time since your eSIM has been sent and it wasn't activated, send a reminder with the same QR code to the same email that you sent, like a reply email. Otherwise, you're going to confuse people. Now, in some cases, the eSIM takes longer than a month and it hasn't been activated. Now, in that case, you have the option to ask for a refund for the eSIM that hasn't been activated and send a new one and send it to the same email of the previous eSIM, so people can know that you sent a previous email that now is not functioning, and they can see that you sent a newer eSIM to the same email. Again, so people cannot get confused, and they send an eSIM that has already been refunded, and people ended up not being able to use it. I think I answered most of the questions that I got on that video. Like I said, the eSIM project has an important rule right now because it keeps us updated to see what's going on right there. Because we're not gonna be able to hear their voices if they can't send us their media. Thanks for everyone who are gonna send an eSIM to people in Gaza. They are desperately in need of eSIMs.
Say something controversial and your cognitive dissonance will deactivate your critical thinking the moment that you feel triggered. I'm not trying to offend you, but if you find yourself upset, self-reflect. I'm going to talk about 3 things that seem like they have no correlation to one another. I'm going to talk about Aaron Bushnell self-immolating outside of the Israeli embassy in DC. I'm going to talk about taking shrooms and smoking weed. I'm going to talk about social media, television, movies, and the news cycle. And I'm going to show you how all of these connect together. When we take shrooms, you experience an emotional peak. You go from here to here to here to here. When you smoke weed, depending on the strain, either you experience a burst in creativity, you experience some sort of euphoric sedation, or you experience a heightened sense of paranoia and anxiety. When you watch TikTok first thing in the morning, you might watch a video of a baby laughing. The next thing is a white cop playing basketball with black kids in the middle of the street. The next video is a white cop holding a black man at gunpoint for a simple traffic stop. The next video after that is TikTok shop trying to sell you a spin brush. The next video after that is a girlfriend being cheated on for the 400th time by her boyfriend and everybody in the comment section dragging her. You're going to see content that takes you here, 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 here. When you watch the news, what do? They give you heavy content, light content, heavy content, light content, because if they only give you one or the other, you won't watch it. You will not engage. And then you have television and movies. The very first time graphic content hit the screens, it caused a fucking uproar to the point where they created a rating system. Rated G, rated PG-13, rated R, TVMA, TV-14. It got to the point where they had to put viewers' discretion advised, not suitable for viewers under the age of, because they knew it would have effects on the psyche. But the problem is that I think we watch people die so often on screen for entertainment's sake that we have become desensitized. And I know we use this word often, but I don't think we're very honest about what that means, to the point where when we watch real people die on camera, it doesn't have the effects on us that it's supposed to. I watched the Aaron Bushnell video 4 times before I shed a tear, and I talked to my therapist about it, and she said you can't force emotions. You might feel numb up front, like you're supposed to feel more, but you can't, simply because of how much you've been watching over the last few months. And all I can think about is the simple fact that if we hadn't been so desensitized, if our empathy hadn't been so sedated, if this was a different time and it was not normal to watch death for the sake of enjoyment, then most of us would either be rioting in the streets and making January 6th look like a cakewalk, or we would be crying, shitting, screaming, and throwing up in the fetal position because we wouldn't be able to handle this. And the simple fact that we just scroll and go on about our lives, this is not normal. And people keep saying, why haven't we revolted? Why haven't we started a revolution? We rioted dawn. How are we supposed to revolt if you're only outraged in 30-second intervals? The simple fact that you can watch something funny after watching something distressing, it may not dissipate the outrage that you feel, but it might take it down from being outraged to upset. And now upset doesn't really feel like doing anything. Upset just feels upset. And that's scary work.
How is the story of this Black woman who struggled to flee the war in Ukraine due to racism tied to the story of the Kenyan asylum seeker who died in Ontario while waiting for shelter? Well, in the span of 3 months in Canada, 2 African asylum seekers have died while waiting to get into a shelter in Peel region in Ontario. Recently, a 46-year-old Kenyan mother of 4 experienced a medical emergency and died in hospital after waiting outside of a Peel region shelter for 7 hours in the freezing cold before being allowed inside the building's lobby. In November, a man described as a Nigerian asylum seeker was found dead in a tent outside the same shelter. Now, although municipal and provincial officials have said shelters are at up to 400% capacity and even pointed at the federal government to step up, community advocates say that African asylum seekers aren't being provided safe places to live when they arrive in Canada, which is actually very similar to what Twitter user Karine Sky tweeted. She wrote, "If the level of support that Ukrainian refugees were given was given to every refugee group in the world would be a better place. I'm sorry to be blunt, but it has never been about the care of victims of war, but always about racism and white supremacy." She went on to describe what the past 2 years have been like as a Black person living in Ukraine when Russia invaded. She wrote, "How do I explain what it was like to try and get on a bus to flee for your life and be told you can't because the bus is only for Ukrainians? How do I explain spending days at the border in freezing cold temperatures and being told you can't cross to refuge because you're not Ukrainian?" Her experience is similar to what advocates here in Canada and surviving family members of asylum seekers have shared, which ties to a larger issue and questions about whether African asylum seekers are treated with the same care as refugees from white countries. But what do you think about this? Let me know in the comments below and follow This Explained for more stories.
All right, so we're going to talk a little bit about the Congo, which we should. This is something that I'm constantly like, wow, I have, ever since I requested a reusable phone, it's just been taking longer than any new phone. And I know for a lot of us, our ego will be like, oh, fuck it, I'm just gonna get a new phone. But I think you should see this video and send it to someone who it's just asking for the new phone. They're just gonna go get the new iPhone and stuff like that. I think you should send them this video to make them have their humanity back, to have conscience back, because it's just sad that a lot of people are not conscious of this, and then they end up unconsciously taking a very intense karmic debt, financial debt, because this is attacking our finances, and they're just getting away with it because of lack of information, because of lack of knowledge, you know. And I feel like a lot of us, if we are able to prevent from someone to not having this type of karma in their karmic debt, instead of releasing it, instead of like, you know, not contribute or be complicit, you know, I think it could, you know, we can really make a difference and make the world a better place, and also hold these companies accountable. Okay, so I would suggest the next videos here about the Congo, and really educate yourself about what's going on in the Congo and the Sudan, and not just, you know, in Palestine, and all in Haiti as well, Puerto Rico, Hawaii, you know. Educate yourself. There's a lot of multiple genocides that is happening. Yes, it could be overwhelming to focus on all of them at once. This is why I take breaks and stuff like that. I go to different, now I'm educating myself, but that even on itself is a huge privilege, isn't it? Yeah. And a lot of us, we have to be conscious of that and make sure that we continue going, you know. Yes, it's very difficult to eat, sleep sometimes and stuff like that, but we have to do those necessary as well, because we are that extra energy that others are seeking, the voices that they're very loud, that they need us to keep amplifying them, amplifying their stories. Okay, compassion, kindness, empathy, they're not weaknesses. Those who are inflicting injustices and oppression and using other people's resources and energy and doing all the vile, horrible things that you can possibly imagine to other people, those are weak. They're cowards. They're terrorists. And I already show you who the real terrorists are without really showing you, haven't I? Actions speak louder than words.
Hey everyone. Yes, I am outside because my son is sleeping, and I need to say a few things that I'm certain will get me heated. This is a message to all of America and our Western world, so listen up. If a group of racist fascists that hated you and your family's existence kicked you out of your home and then built a wall trapping you within a small region that you could never leave, to then bomb and starve your children to death, what would you do? What if that same group blocked aid that could save your children's lives, while they throw carnivals and music events at the crossing, while blocking that aid just feet away from where your child is starving and dehydrating to death? What if this was all being allowed by your government, military, and police forces, where they set up elaborate barbecues celebrating their murderous quest to eradicate all of your people just down the road from where your child is slowly and torturously dying of starvation, to then flaunt these barbecues with endless food on videos all over social media? What if your government, military, and police forces actively blocked aid from coming in? And when they do let them in, they either bomb the aid trucks or shoot at you and your family when waiting in line to get something as simple as flour. Seriously, I'm asking you, what the f*** would you do if this was your family? What would you do if this was your child? What the f*** is wrong with this world? Why has this become normal to you? Do you hate us? Seriously, do you hate us? I'd rather you f***ing say it than stay silent like the cowards that you are. Say that you hate us to my face. Say that you don't give a shit about Palestinians. Because I know any parent with an ounce of decency would never let this slide if this was their child. You would want every single parent, every single human, especially those that claim to be your friends, to speak out to save you and your child. Would you be able to look your neighbor in the eye while they watch you and your child starving to death as they stay silent? While they just watch these maniacal, thieving tyrants blocking aid while celebrating the death and displacement of your family? Do you understand our rage now? Just look at this. Would you be able to watch your child wither away like this day by day? Would you be able to comprehend the fact that while your child withers away like this, there is food just feet away that's being blocked by people whom have been systemically stealing your land for decades? Do you understand the level of anger and hate that this causes? I'm asking you, what level of anger and hate would you have if this was being done to your child? I'm pretty sure I know your answer. So my follow-up question is, why the would you not be enraged if this was happening to any child? Enraged to the point where you'd yell from the rooftops for it to stop. Are you seriously still scared of them piece of shit racist Zionists who have outed themselves all over the world as genocide justifying psychopaths, running around shooting people with staple guns and calling for the deaths of all Palestinians and all Arabs for that matter? Those are the people you stay silent for. Those are the people you let get away with their hate and racist-fueled genocidal rhetoric and actions without repercussions. You keep your mouth shut for them? Or is it because it doesn't concern you or your family? Because if you're a parent that stays silent on this still, then you are a parent in my eyes. A parent that has no care for children that don't look like your own. And it's blatantly obvious to all of us. And this is a message to all my Palestinian diaspora and all pro-Palestinians out there. Do not tire out. Do not stop. Because again, this same hypothetical applies to you as well. As you sit in a place of privilege, think about what you would do if this were happening to you and your family. Would you ever stop fighting for your family? Would you want everyone around the world to stop fighting for you? Or would you want the world to put so much pressure on our Western governments and surrounding Arab governments for that matter, that their backs bend and break over backwards to have no choice but to save you and your family? So much pressure that they are forced to stop you and your family from being killed by any and every unimaginable barbaric means possible. So much pressure that they are forced to give you and your family basic human rights and freedom. I'm telling you right now, this pressure is so damn high that their corruption is at its breaking point. So there's no way in hell I can sit there and watch the pressure let up for 1 second. Push harder. Now is the time. Get louder. And for those that are silent, speak out. It's not too late. Be a decent human being.
Think about it. Why would they need to suppress the truth and amplify their lies? Critical thinking. Don't let that go.
On December 10th, 2011, in the Dominican Republic of Congo city of Boma, a young man named 3𝓁𝓃THE self-immolated by pouring gas on himself and setting the fuel alight. This is 3𝓁𝓃THE. A week later, he actually ended up passing away from his burns and just the overall pain that he suffered because of this self-immolation. I wanted to make this video in a reminder that Aaron is not the first one. Aaron is just the first one that was blasted everywhere. It's been going on for hundreds of thousands of years of people self-immolating themselves in protest of genocide, political views, and many more. And one of the biggest things that rings in my heart and in my soul about Cedric is that when he was self-immolating, he screamed, "My Congo, my Congo." And just like Aaron, he had a purpose. Cedric had his purpose, and that is to remind people of what is going on in Congo. There is, most people call it a silent genocide. In my opinion, I don't think it's a silent genocide. I would call it an inconvenient genocide, because if you have to acknowledge, right, the genocide that is happening in Congo, and it's been happening for years. There are millions displaced, and the punishments is so brutal that sometimes I think about it and I'm like, this just genuinely cannot happen. Like, this can, until I see videos of it, and then I'm like, yeah, this is, I'm gonna be honest with you, I've lost so much humanity in this world. However, I call it an inconvenient genocide because if you choose to seek knowledge about what is happening to the Congolese people, it will be an inconvenience to you and the choices that you make in your life for the betterment of Congo. And I say that because the people in the, you know, when people are like, this is first world problems, this is genuinely what I mean, because people are wanting to get these new Apple products that have cobalt, that have lithium, that are killing human beings. The only way right now to get those items is by brutally attacking human life. I have seen Congolese people dig each other out of mines. I have seen children screaming and crying. I have seen mothers telling the stories of their rape stories and the things that are being done to them, so that we don't have to be inconvenienced, so that we can have the new iPhones, so that we can have these new things. And I say it's an inconvenience because we're spoiled here, right? We're truly, utterly, grossly spoiled here. And I'm not saying the working class doesn't earn, like, we don't earn these things. However, when things are so unethical that it is at the cost of life, it should make you step back and realize this is not something I work hard to gain. I'm not working 12-hour days, 7 days a week, so that I can go get a new iPhone that probably killed 5 people and probably a woman got raped on behalf of me getting the new iPhone. And the fact that it's Black people's lives, the fact that it's slavery, it'll always go over people's heads, because why care? Why care? Because we hear so much atrocities happening to Black people. For most people, it's like, I don't have time to catch up on all of it, and I don't have the empathy or the humanity to give it to all. And it's so unfortunate, and it breaks my heart. I made a video the other day about, like, how grotesque and like angry I am at the fact that Apple is coming out with a new product that is so unnecessary. And I was mad, like I was boldly mad, because for that one ring that these influencers are gonna wear one time and set it down and never look at it or touch it again, lives will be destroyed. And then people are like, but I have my wants. I want this. I want that. What a gross way to live your life. What a gross way to think this is the only way that we can get our wants. We can get our wants ethically. We have to push for it to be ethically. You can still get the new iPhone once it's made ethically. There are Congolese people who have sued Apple multiple times. And I'll make another video on that, because Apple knows what its hand is in Congo. And so-called Israel is the one arming the soldiers that are brutally raping children, women, and men, and cutting their body parts off. Like, I don't understand how normalized this is. That I am saying these words on a multitude of videos. Like, I don't get it. I don't get the fact that I'm saying all of these things and it just means so little to so many people. It genuinely breaks my heart that I have to keep saying these words and someone will watch this video and genuinely say, who cares? And I'm not talking about the bots. I'm talking about actual humans will say, who cares? Who cares is insane to me. Right? And I always make a video, especially when it comes to my Congo videos, about the ignorance I held, about the ignorance I had about Congo. And now every move I make is in the benefit of either Congo or Sudan or Yemen or Palestine. Anything I do, I try to always think 500 times before. Like, yes, yeah, I'm talking to you on a phone that probably was created on deaths of multiple Congolese people. But this phone will never be renewed, and any phone that I have in my life until everything is starting to be made ethically will be refurbished. Baby, we barely have the money for groceries. They price gouge gas like last week's gas was $5.80 in California and now it's about $6.50. They don't care about us as much as they don't care about them. But I, as a civilian, I as someone who is suffering and has suffered, can now use the privilege of knowledge that I hold in the benefit of Congo, and I will continue to scream no matter how many people say, who cares? This is not a silent genocide because this genocide is loud. It's an inconvenient genocide to you. Remember that. Free Congo, free Palestine, and free this world.
One of the rotating questions I've been getting is, what can you boycott to support DRC? Even though I've made multiple videos that I have in my DRC playlist, but we're going to talk about it again. One of the major contributors to the oppression of Congolese people is big tech. We're talking Apple, Google, Dell, Microsoft, Samsung. The best thing you can do in regards to a boycott, don't buy any new stuff. When Apple announces the iPhone 16, don't buy it. Don't do the upgrade. Literally, you're paying so much to upgrade as it. If you need a new phone, buy used, refurbished, ethically sourced. Also, another thing, do not get anything new that is gold or diamond. Because aside from cobalt, we do have sources in gold and diamond. Only get ones that are ethically sourced. And we're going to talk about that. Diamond is really investor later. Also, side note, one thing you can do right now in regards to speaking up is talk about the Congo Basin. Get the environments on the line because a lot of smaller tech and other companies are trying to get in. Because what? They want our resources again. The Congo Basin is the largest forest on the continent of Africa. A bunch of companies are buying different plots of the land to do oil extraction. Fucking up this forest will have irreparable climate repercussions. I'm going to do a deep dive tomorrow, but make sure you are talking about the Congo Basin right now.
We need to talk about the silent genocide happening in Congo. The exploitation of Congolese people has claimed millions of lives and the media is not talking about it at all. In fact, around every hour 48 women are sexually assaulted. 6 million Congolese people have lost their lives over the past decade and millions more have been displaced. Also, the Western world can continue to benefit off of Congo's natural resources like cobalt. The land of Congo has the largest amount of cobalt, which is a critical mineral used in technology. Western nations like the US, the UK and France have given military and financial aid to groups in Rwanda and Uganda to invade cobalt-rich areas. And because of these invasions, Congolese people are either killed or enslaved and forced to mine cobalt, which includes pregnant women and children. Genocides and crimes against humanity that take place in Africa are never covered in the media as much as other events.
Americans who are only worried about themselves, we're not kicking you out. You will have housing, you will have healthcare, and you will have education. You won't have rent anymore, and you won't have mortgages. We need to give land back. My platform provides people with guaranteed housing because we give the land back. That means no rent, no mortgage. We can't just say, we're gonna give indigenous people sovereignty, and then not. We're not gonna just say, we're gonna give indigenous people their federal land. They need more than that. They want all of their stolen property back. That does not mean it evicts people from their homes. What it does is it allows you to remain in your home and they have stewardship over the land. What that means is you would get all the money you spent on purchasing your home back and still be able to remain in your domicile. What this also means is we end the occupation of Hawaii, the occupation of Guam. We also give Puerto Rico their land back. We have to act like we really do apologize. And we can't do that by giving somebody a piece of something. If you came to my house and you took anything, I would want everything you took back. It wouldn't be a polite conversation about what is mine that you took. The same situation where we're seeing in Palestine, where Israel has invaded and occupied their land, is the same thing that we did to indigenous people right here. So I'm not going to pretend, and my VP, Tanda Bluebear, and I have been working with indigenous tribes around the country to write a land back policy with their voice in part. If you are indigenous and you would like to participate in writing that land back policy, go to JasmineSherman.com. Your voice matters. This is yours, and we want to give it back. We can do things differently if we stop funding Israel, where we pay rent and health care.
I feel like my thoughts and beliefs have been so far misconstrued.
Boy, fuck you. Now, I typically have grace for people under 25, especially if they're under 21. But that can't apply here because that is one of the most disingenuous things that I've seen in a while. Mind you, that boy is not even like a lot of other celebrities who just rushed to throw something up in support of Israel when it was clear they didn't really know what was going on. That man went on a campaign to paint Palestinians as terrorists and to profit off of Zionism down to selling stickers. For weeks and weeks and weeks, you were told by your fans and everyone else how harmful your behavior was. You have internet access just like we do to see the atrocities that have been happening in Gaza. But now that the next season of Stranger Things is approaching, all of a sudden you want to get on the internet and clarify your stance. Baby, you made it pretty clear already. And best believe the backtracking is not gonna stop with him. The media and the governing bodies are becoming aware that their propaganda doesn't work as well when it collides with the exposure of social media. There are massive demonstrations across different cities and continents with hundreds and thousands of people. There is immense support for Palestinians from the Jewish community as well, kind of invalidating the stance that anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism go hand in hand. And Israel has been tried in the international court for their war crimes against Palestinians. Public perception is slowly shifting, and a lot of motherfuckers are going to try and save face. Even when this is written about in history books 50 years from now, the bad guys will become good. That is why another thing that we can do when nothing that we've done has been enough is to remember.
Okay, last and foremost, because this is getting longer than I was expecting, but this is something that is, like I told you guys, I've been seeing that in tarot readings and stuff like that. When I look into it, there is this type of forgetting rituals, which takes a lot, especially if you're doing it for large masses of people, to forget, for them to get some type of harvest, to get some type of material wealth. So they need people to forget. They need people to be asleep. They need people to move on from this. They want this. This is why we cannot stop, okay? Because this is part of their ritual. This was their flower massacre. This is why they're massacring people. There's 13, okay, massacres that has been happening ever since the flower one, and then right away the sympathy, where they're throwing out the bombs, okay? So I'm letting you know, they have to do some type of sacrifice, lots of them. Then they do the sympathy spells. Then there's the what's the other one, where now they're doing a not temporary ceasefire. We cannot take those things, okay? We're not their puppets. We're not their toy. This is not a game that they can play with people like this, okay? So remember I told you guys in many videos ago, I'll try to link it here or try to put it in maybe in the description. I taught you guys about how these people do this. They multiple, this is more spiritual than physical, okay? So what we're seeing is just the physical, but they have to do more work in the spiritual realm. And that's what they're really good at, exactly. So be patient. Everything is going to be revealed itself. Everything is going to be balanced. It is being unbalanced for a reason, but it is going to be balanced, okay? These people of authority, they're trying to, I knew it. They're stealing energy, harvesting. And it's not just, it's financial, creativity, culture. These people are like leashes on this planet, to be honest. Okay? Yeah, and that's the truth. I can't make this up. I'm telling you, energy doesn't lie. People do. Okay? So this is stuff that they're heavily scared of people knowing this. And a lot of you need to take your power back and speak up, because they're actually afraid of y'all speaking up. Yeah, fulfilling your wishes and then their downfall, because the way that how they acquire material harvest, money, success, or anything like that is through very toxic and corrupt systems. A lot of us, we awaken to that. A lot of you, be patient. Your wishes and fulfillments is gonna be happening. It's just that it's going to be delayed, just like everybody else, because right now, our focus right now, humanity focus, the 8 billion people in this planet, if you consider yourself a citizen of this planet, but also you're a spiritual being, you are part of this universe. Thank you, universe. Thank you, God. Glory be to God. Our focus is to stop a genocide, and multiple ones. We cannot do this by ourselves or expecting that, oh, these people can do it. These people. Also, you're not part of these people because you're in a higher vibration, or you think that you're better than everybody. Get the hell out of here, for real. This prosperity is going to begin, and that too, I see that like us rebuilding Palestine, Congo, Sudan, it's going to happen. This is their biggest fear, is that everyone goes against them, and as we should. They're doing inhumane things. Exactly. Material and spiritual prosperity is both. It's going to be material and spiritual. But a lot of people are bypassing. A lot of people are not, love and light and all this bullshit kakalaka, and not recognizing that part of the shadow and the decolonization and this is actually being there for others, having compassion and empathy for others. It's not just about yourself. So a lot of people are just focusing on what they can gain. A lot of you, you're planting the right seeds and you're going to be triumphant. You're doing the right thing. You're focusing on both realms, okay? The humanitarian, the physical, but also the spiritual, okay? So a lot of you, you're getting your source from divine, from source form. A lot of you, you're like spiritual guides, earth angels, chosen. You're here to protect the chosen if you're not consider yourself chosen. Most of y'all who have compassion and empathy, I think most of you are. Yeah, you're following your North Star, as you should. Okay, you shouldn't stop your whatever it is that you're doing. You can continue doing it while you also advocate for those in need, while you also help, while you also, whatever material harvest, you put it for the right thing. You help those people. Go to their GoFundMe, go donate to the eSIMs, go advocate, go use your social media for Sudan, Congo, whoever, whatsoever. It doesn't matter. Yes, you're going to be censored. Yes, you're going to lose clients, followers, viewers, whatever. It doesn't matter. God is going to replace it to you 110 times full. And this is why people don't get it. And this is why they're 90% that talking part two, that lady, this is why. And you are much higher than the 1%. They envy you. A lot of y'all who are doing this humanitarian work and taking your gifts and multiplying and doing the right thing and helping others in need. Stop focusing on what you're going to lose. Stop focusing on who you got, what friends or family are not into. Oh, they're not going to, who cares? You have your humanity. You have your heart. God only cares about your heart. And after that is taken care of, God takes care of everything else. That's it. A lot of you, be patient with yourself. Be patient with this healing, with this shadow work, with this seed that you planted a long time ago. Follow your intuition. Speak up. This is throat. Yeah, a lot of you speak up, okay? Because yes, there's going to be recognition and reward, but you don't do it for that. You do it for the fact that these people that you're advocating, that you're speaking of, they're going to get that recognition and reward. And that for you, that's enough. And this is why your heart, for a lot of you, is very rare. And a lot of people are jealous, okay? There's an Empress energy, someone who has a lot of fertility, a lot of creativity. You take your sword power from your heart. You have really, wow. A lot of you, you have a big heart, okay? Don't change it for nothing. Continue advocating. Don't let these bullies, cyber bullies, they all big all this and on their phones, right? Online and stuff like that. But when they're in your face, do they talk to people like that in real life? I don't think so. Don't let them stop you, okay? These people, there's a lot of, be careful. Make sure you're focusing on God so he can tell you who is a snake, okay? A lot of you move on from this energy. Deception, envy, people who are jealous and envious, okay? You're starting a new beginning. That's what it is. A lot of people are feeling some type of way, okay? Yeah, a lot of people are stuck in their shadow, okay? Yeah, heartache and loss. That's it. A lot of you, you're transmute and alchemize this energy, okay? And this is why you're getting this positive movement. And a lot of people, you're overcoming these obstacles, these challenges that, yeah, that you are aware that is purposely orchestrated, you know? Yeah. A lot of people, it's like sacrifices and stuff like that to make you feel some type of way, okay? But a lot of you, your foundation comes from God. And that's what you need to know, exactly. Don't lose your hope, okay? Continue, exactly. Yes, it feels like, but it's always God's timing. It's not our timing. It's not our ego timing. It's God's timing, okay? So I'm going to leave you with this. I love you. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, okay? Make sure you share it, okay? Or at least like the video. And if it's too long and you decided to save it for later, that's awesome too. I love you guys. I hope this is helpful and bring you some enlightenment. Make sure you support the people that are, and give credit to those who are due, okay? And thank you so much for supporting me and supporting them. And free Palestine, free Congo, free Sudan, free Haiti, free Puerto Rico, free Hawaii, all the other ones. Free the world, all right? I love you. I'll see you next time.
Terrorist. Anti-Semitic.
Words used to silence us.
Words used to deter us from advocating for justice.
Does calling for an end to murder make me a terrorist?
Does calling for freedom for all, from the river to the sea, make me anti-Semitic?
No, it does not.
76 years of occupation and violence. 76 years of oppression and apartheid.
76 years of genocide and war crimes.
76 years, too many.
After World War II, the world said never again, but did not mean it.
Do we mean it now?
We and millions around the world demand an end to the ongoing settler colonialism, genocide, and crimes against humanity.
We will not be silenced.
We will use our voices to call for a free Palestine until our last breath.
Because none of us are free until we are all free.
Palestine must be free from the river to the sea.
I think freeing Palestine is taking so long already because there are so many obstacles in the way, and those obstacles are not inside Palestine. It's outside the country, and mainly like the whole world actually. I think no one is free. No one is free. I think Palestinians are the only free people in the world, and we're just fighting for the freedom of everyone from all this evil. I don't know what happened to humanity, or why or how did we become this evil, but I hope this changes one day.